Good morning, Hilton Baptist, and welcome to today's devotion. Today we begin our new section in Revelation chapter 12, which will eventually take us all the way to chapter 15 and verse 4. And I think many would say that this is the most difficult section of Revelation to understand. It certainly is full of wild imagery and apocalyptic literature, and many of us run away from it. Well, we're going to try and run towards it and see what we can understand. And today I just want to introduce you to it and introduce you to some of the characters in the first chapter, Revelation chapter 12. This section actually has 7 scenes, and it's more like an acted play than it is a vision. It is certainly something that is very fluid. There's lots of movement. You start in one place and suddenly you're in another, and it can get all rather confusing, and we'll see if we can simplify it out as best we can. This section describes the cosmic war that is going on in the heavenlies. It's a great war. It's the war from which all other wars happen. And it's a war in the heavenlies that actually had its decisive battle here on earth. The decisive battle was the battle of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, which of course he won as our Messiah Savior, and which has had huge implications on things in the heavenlies from now on. These scenes describe some of those actions, some of those battles, and specifically the one great battle. But it also helps us to understand why, despite the fact that Jesus has won the great battle, that the great battle has been won, why there's still so much evil in the world, why there's so much destruction, why Satan seems to have so much power. This section will help us to answer some of those questions. In order to really understand what's going on, we actually have to go back to the last verse in Revelation chapter 11. Let me read it to you. We're told that God's temple in heaven was opened, and within his temple was seen the ark of his covenant. And there came flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, an earthquake, and severe hailstorm. That opening of heaven reminds us actually of chapter 4, when the door was opened and John was invited to go in and see heaven. Well, here there's another opening, another chance to see heaven. It's described slightly differently, but it's no different. It is heaven where God sits on the throne. Here, that throne is described in terms of the Ark of the Covenant, and we are reminded of the Holy of Holies. And in the center of the Holy of Holies, that great sacred box, above which were the seraphim and the wings, and in the middle of that was the place where the sacrifice was put once a year by the high priest when he went in with blood for the atonement of God's people. This is the place where God dwells. In a sense, this is the throne of heaven. And we are invited once again to go in, and we can go in now because of what Jesus did for us. We can go into the Holy of Holies. We can go and see God at work. And we are given insight at this time into the great battle that is happening from God's perspective, how he is working things out for his purpose and his glory. This is a vision of heaven and what's happening in heaven. Revelation 12 introduces us to 3 characters. 2 of those characters are described as signs, and the third one is real. The first character is the woman. She's a sign, and she represents a greater reality. She represents all the people of God, those before Jesus came, those after Jesus came, and most importantly, Mary, who is symbolized very specifically at some points in the story. But the woman represents all of God's people, including you and me. The second character is also a sign, and it is the red dragon, and it is the sign representing the devil, representing Satan. It is evil and it is powerful. The 7 heads show that it has great authority. The 10 horns, incredible strength, almost absolute strength. The 7 crowns represent great wealth. And with one sweep of his tail, a third of the stars fall away. Some people think that's a reference to angels, but if you think of it cosmically, it's even more scary. Satan is powerful. He is not to be underestimated. But the third character in the story is the child. And this is not a sign. This character is real. This character represents reality. This child is the literal Jesus Christ, the Messiah. The reference in verse 7 to Psalm chapter 2 and verse 9 shows that he is the one who rules. He is the one who rules with an iron scepter. He rules the nations and he rules with authority. Tomorrow we're going to have a look at what those characters do. But I just want you to remember today that while the first 2 characters are symbols, the third is real. His name is Jesus. He really did come to the earth. He really did win the decisive battle of the battle that's going on in the heavenlies. And with that victory, the devil is playing second base, and Jesus is the one who won. And we, his church, the woman, can carry on, and we will overcome, and we will get to the end. And so just remember that Jesus is real, and his victory was decisive. See you tomorrow.